Hello, welcome to the Great Ski Guide. Today we're going to be talking about another resort in this series on the Dolomites, and we're going to be talking about Val Di Fassa. Now, Val Di Fassa is an area to the southwest of the main Selva. For those of you that know the Dolomites, you'll know there's two large circuits that sort of go around clockwise or anti-clockwise. They get quite busy, but the real joy of the Dolomites is to shoot off at an angle into some of the less busy areas. Now, we're a great fan of the Dolomites for a number of reasons. The first is it's just a massive area. There's a huge amount of piste skiing. And unlike some other areas in Europe where there's lots of runs down the same hill and it's all centred in one bowl, the Dolomites really does spread you out so you can get away from it, feel as though you're in the middle of nowhere. But there's about 1,000 kilometres of piste, more than that, which is fabulous. The other reason is we think it's really good value for money. When you eat and drink on the mountain, it's a lot cheaper than other areas in Western Europe. One of the downsides is it used to have a fairly, not unreliable, but it wasn't as reliable as some of the higher resorts in Austria and France for snow. But that's changed because they've invested about £12 million in snowmaking. And in fact, over the last month or so, when there's been little snow in Europe, particularly over Christmas and New Year in this season, over that period, people were skiing on 680 kilometres of man-made piste in the Dolomites. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll see it's quite surreal, these sort of strips of white snow going through brown mountains. Now, we went last week to the Dolomites. We've been there many times before, but we went with the idea of reviewing some of the areas. And today's review is going to be about that corner of Val Di Fassa, particularly Alba and Pozza, and something called the Grand Ski Panorama, which is a route you can take. Anyway, let's have a look at the map, and then we'll give you a little bit of an idea of the places we're going to. So, as you can see from the map, up in the top corner in this area here is the Passo Pordoi, which is part of the Selva above the village of Canazei. That's quite busy. It's quite a thoroughfare getting around from Val Gardena. You come around the corner to the south and end up in Araba. There's a fair amount of skiing up there, but it's quite tight and it does get quite busy, so you really need to shoot off that area to find something a bit more peaceful. Now, you can do that a number of ways. Up until now, if you wanted to go to Alba, you needed to get the bus, but a new cable car this year has meant that it's now linked directly into Passo Pordoi, giving it superb access. So we're going to pick up down in Alba, where you can see there's a cable car goes from each side of the road. One goes up to the Passo Pordoi, but the other goes up behind Alba into a different area heading off toward Pozza. Now, we took the first cable car up early in the morning. And the thing that a lot of people do wrong when sort of touring and going from village to village in the Dolomites is they go up one lift, down the other side, and you actually miss the runs under the lift you've been in. Now, the run under the cable car back down to Alba is one of the most magnificent runs in the Dolomites. It's a black run, it's a proper black run, steep at the top, all the way through the trees, large vertical descent, it's fabulous. So the first thing you've got to do, if you don't mind the odd black run, get to the top of that lift, turn and go down it. Do it twice if you want. First thing in the morning, perfect conditions. It is a fantastic run. Beautiful Dolomite scenery. It's a must. Now when you get to the top of that lift, instead of going down the black, if you turn ahead of you, you'll find a big bowl full of fairly easy medium red runs, a few places to eat, good sun trap. It's a good place to waste a day. We only did them a couple of times. There's a good few restaurants up there, but then we headed out over the back, out towards the village of Pozza. Now above Pozza you'll see we go over the top of the chairlifts and there's a big gondola comes up from the bottom of Pozza, and at that top meeting point you just go slightly down the hill and there we found the place to eat on today's tour. Log cabin on the right hand side, you go up a slight incline to get to it. Fantastic food. Now it's not very often we do this, but we had a coffee there in the morning and we thought the food smells so good and people were recommending it so highly, we're going to go back later in the day, and we did. But before we did that, on with the skiing. Now if you look at the piste map, there are two runs down to the village of Pozza. One is a black run, which is a new run, and to the left of that is a long red. Now we did the black first. It's quite an interesting black in that it's pretty straight, and you don't really get that many dead straight black runs. It's straight and I'd say a level gradient all the way down. So in terms of being interesting and winding its way around in different views, it's not that kind of run, but it's perfect if you just want to practice your technique on quite a steep slope that goes on for a long time. So we just did top to bottom, whoosh, 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 zigzagging down. Conditions were the same all the way down, and it's a great run for that. Anyway, we came straight back up run to the left, an epic run. One of the most epic runs in the Dolomites. It's a red run, anyone can ski it, I'd say. Starts out really wide, sweeps right around the mountain. Lovely sweeping turns. It's the kind of gradient that you don't have to bleed off speed to do nice turns. You can just carve beautiful turns all the way down. And it goes on for quite a long way. It's quite a vertical. At the end, at the bottom, it narrows to a kind of path. But that's nice because that brings you into the village. And it's one of those villages where you smell the cow manure when you go in, which is kind of nice because you think you're in a real village and you can smell the farmyards, and you go through the farm buildings. And then that brings you down to the road. Now the road itself is quite busy actually, and that whole area, that valley that runs across, has got a lot of restaurants, a lot of accommodation, and a lot of places to eat and drink at night. So if you probably wanted an area with lots to do in the Dolomites, that area along that main road, Val Di Fassa road, Pozza, etc., really quite a good place to go. Now the lift doesn't come out of the other side of the road where the run comes down. So this is where you've got to take the first of the ski buses. Now some people think, oh, we don't want to go on buses, we've got a nice interlinked area. It's actually one of the most charming things to do. They trundle along, old men with hip flasks, woolly hats on, part of the furniture of the area. You get on, we paid €3 for a Dolomite bus pass all day, anywhere in the valley. We didn't have to wait, came after about 2 minutes, we got on, and it dropped us about 2 minutes later. We also spotted like a little choo-choo train, little kids thing with carriages on, so if you went with kids they'd love it. Get to the bottom of the lift, a little train picks you up, go along, takes you down the road onto the next lift. But don't see it as an inconvenience, see it as part of the charm of the day, which we did. Now there's two ways you can do it. We turned to the right, took the bus down the road to a place called Pera. Now Pera has got three chairlifts that come out one after the other to the top of the mountain. And we went up one after the other. The views are staggering. It's a real unspoilt area, it wasn't very busy, beautiful Dolomite cliffs off to the right to us. One thing we did notice at the first chairlift is if you skied down directly underneath it, you've then got to cross the road and walk away to get to the chairlift and go over the road again. So we didn't do that. We took the first three up one after the other and then just skied back to the first two. But what a run, fantastic. Another classic, through the trees, long red, really quiet, fantastic scenery, really enjoyed it. We then went back up to the top again, where there's a wonderful black run called Tomba. Now, who's that named after? I don't know, but everyone who skis it like a world champion slalom skier. You've got to have really out of respect for the guy. So we chucked ourselves down the Tomba run, went back up to the top. Now, at the top you can ski down to Vigo, and this is another long black. Now if you don't like blacks, we suggest instead of turning right to Pera like we did, go the other way and go up the lift to Vigo, so you can then go down the blue runs down. But we loved the black. It was steep, it was long, it was epic, and it took us all the way back down again. Fantastic run. So there's only a few lifts up there, but you could spend a day up there. They're long runs, they're great runs. It's just everything that's great about Dolomite skiing. Feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, but linked to a huge sort of linked ski area. So we skied down. There is a bit of a walk at the bottom of Vigo. You've got to go down the hill to get the bus, which we did. About a 5-minute walk. The bus came instantly, took us straight back to Pozza, back up the hill to our log cabin. Goulash, €8, drink €2. €10 for a really warm, hearty meal in a warm log cabin. You know the long epic red I told you down to Pozza on the left? We loved it so much we had to do it again. Would have made us late to go home, we didn't care. We went down it, it's just fantastic. Recommend it, you know, more than any other run of the day, I'd say. Loved it. Took the lift up and then we skied right over the top into the sort of bowl above Alba. We did a few runs there, and then the first black one I told you about at the start of the day, we did it at the end of the day. Start of the day, nicely groomed. End of the day, like all black runs, slightly chopped up. Steep at the top, quite steep at the top. You know, you've got to have a bit of confidence to do it, but then it levels out. And then you're back down in Alba, cable car straight up into the Selleronda where you want to go. Now we spent a week in the Dolomites. We skied Civetta, we skied Cortina, we skied Sal Pellegrino, Falcara, and this I would say was probably our most enjoyable day. It might have been because there was just two of us, so we didn't have to wait around much. It might have been the lunch. It might have been because it was a Saturday and changeover day. But if you're going to do one trip off the Selleronda into one of the quieter areas, I think this is the one that's got to be number one. Head off to Alba, over the back to Pozza, back over the back again. It's just a wonderful ski route. The Ski Panorama. Signs are everywhere, but the piste map's quite good. Now the Val Di Fassa Pass also covers up above Canazei, over round towards Selva and Wolfenstein, right up to the corner there, and also right round to the link with Araba. So quite a lot of skiing if you get the Val Di Fassa Pass. Also in the Val Di Fassa Pass is a wonderful little resort which we're going to review later in this series, Falcarda and San Pellegrino. We went there for the day and we loved it too. So check out this link and you can check out that review. So, safe skiing, enjoy yourselves. If you're going to come to the Dolomites, we recommend a day out at the back of Alba. A wonderful place, stunning skiing, stunning scenery, stunning food, everything you could ever want for a great day out. See you next time.